Hi, this is Jeff Stum, director of The Great Race, and we're continuing our series of how-to videos. And today we're going to talk about two things: preparing your car for the Great Race, and then how to make a performance chart for the Great Race. Now, the Great Race is a lot of fun, and to maximize that experience on the race, you want to make sure your car is prepared, because it doesn't matter how good you are at the competition portion. If you're on the side of the road because your car's not prepared, that's going to ruin your day and maybe even the entire event for you. And you know, as car guys, I don't need to tell you, you need to get your cars out and you need to run them down the road a lot before the Great Race. You'd be surprised at how many cars break on the very first day of the Great Race because they're not prepared. The first day of the Great Race is the #1 day for picking up cars. Now, we do have a sweep truck that's available, and we will not leave you behind. We'll pick you up. But boy, I hate picking up rookies, especially on the first day, because the cars are not prepared. Now, to prepare your car, as I said, you need to get out and use it. And you need to use it a lot before the Great Race. You also need to familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations of the event. And those are sent to you in your welcome email package when you first enter the race. You need to know what modifications you can and cannot have on the car with or without a penalty. So some of the most common things are conversions to hydraulic brakes, especially like on Model A's. Conversion to 12 volt. Well, all this is allowed with no penalty. You will also need to make sure that you have seat belts in your car. Even if your car did not come equipped with seat belts, you will have to have seat belts in your car. So the whole idea is when you get to the Great Race and it starts, that you're prepared and your car is prepared. Now, how do I prepare for the actual competition? Well, that comes with making a performance chart. The booklet we've mentioned in several videos that we give to rookies is how to prepare for the Great Race. Is very, very valuable information for how to make a performance chart for your car. I would read it and reread it several times. It will tell you in full detail how to make this performance chart. There's even a sample set of performance charts for a 1936 Packard, which you could use. It would be better than nothing. But I'm going to give you a quick, simple way to make a performance chart for your car. You're going to need to take your car and a stopwatch and find two objects out on a road. Find a deserted road. Let's call it telephone poles. You're going to find two telephone poles, and you're going to drive each speed every 5 miles per hour between 15 and 50 miles per hour. 15, 20, 25, and so on, up to 50. And you can drive each speed through, holding speed and using your stopwatch. I'm going to use this example at 30 miles per hour. So at 30 miles per hour, you're going to drive through these two telephone poles. You're going to start your stopwatch at the first one. Now, you're already at 30 miles an hour when you hit the first stop sign or the telephone pole. When you cross that telephone pole, you start the stopwatch, and at the end telephone pole, you stop the stopwatch. Now remember, we're doing in this example 30 miles per hour. Let's say that the time between those two telephone poles at 30 miles per hour is 45 seconds. Now you're going to go back to the telephone pole, the first telephone pole, and you're going to pull up and stop even with the telephone pole. Get a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and on go, start the stopwatch and start the car. And you're going to drive through the same distance to the next telephone pole. As you pass the next telephone pole, again at 30 miles per hour, you're going to stop the stopwatch. Now your time is going to be 48 seconds. What does that tell you? That tells you that driving through it straight without stopping is at 30 miles per hour is 45 seconds, but starting from a standstill at the first telephone pole, driving through the second telephone pole is 48 seconds. So at 30 miles per hour, you have a 3-second loss in starting. That's how you develop your loss at a start. Well, how do I figure out how much time it takes me to brake? Still fairly simple. Use the same 2 telephone poles. This time you run through, you're already doing 30 miles an hour when you pass the first telephone pole. When you get past the telephone pole 50 yards, have the driver stop, come to a complete stop, just they would at any stop sign. This is why you need to be on a deserted road to do this. As soon as you stop, start back, go back to 30 miles per hour, continue through the last second telephone pole, stop your stopwatch. Now your stopwatch says 50 seconds. What does that tell you? Well, you did 30 miles an hour straight through and it was at 45 seconds. You started from a dead stop at the first telephone pole and it was 48 seconds, which tells you it's a 3-second loss in your starting. Now you've driven through, stopped and started in the middle and it was 50 seconds. Well, you already know it's 3 seconds to start. So if you take the 45 original and the 50 on a start and stop and then you pull out the 3 seconds, we already know that it takes to start from 30 miles an hour. Now you know it takes you 2 seconds to stop from 30 miles an hour as well. Might seem a little complicated, but it's not. It's pretty straightforward. You can use any 2 objects that you want, and you need to do this at every speed from every 5 miles an hour between 15 and 50. And I would urge you again to use the booklet. It goes into great detail of how to make this happen so you have a successful great race.